What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so I have a message for you guys. Look, this is just my opinion. These are just my observations. But you may notice that from your favorite or maybe not so favorite conservative media outlets or conservative, YouTube channels or whatever, right? YouTube favorite conservative forums and the Trump administration. You may notice all of a sudden now they're targeting Barack Obama, right? They're targeting Barack Obama. Tulsi Gabbard has come out and said that that they have evidence that the Obama administration fabricated evidence as far as the Russia election interference. They call it a hoax. Obama need to be jailed. The last of the Maga minions who can't think for themselves are running for that because we have always said that, look, there are millions of people who voted for Trump for reasons that they felt were credible, and they're not sheep. But there is a certain segment of Trump supporters who are sheep, and they do whatever their Führer tells them to do. Okay? You might even see some jigs running around on YouTube talking about, because that's how they make their money, by jigging. And, there's a particular guy, I'm not going to say his name. You might know what I'm talking about. Well, you know what I'm going to say, because people think you speak this stuff. Charleston White, on Valuetainment, talking about Obama is gay, and they're talking about, Michelle Obama and how they're not really married or their marriage is a fraud and they're going to get divorced. And it's so amazing to me that these people seem to have such an interest in Barack Obama and Michelle's marriage when Melania doesn't even live in the White House. I mean, she announced before Donald Trump started his term she wasn't going to live in the White House. She don't even live in D.C., if I'm not mistaken. But nobody says anything about their relationship or the state of their marriage. And she's only in her mid-50s, so she's still getting some from somewhere. And it ain't Trump old ass, right? But, that's none of my concern. That's not my business when I bring that up. But Barack Obama and Michelle's business is everybody's business. But the larger point I want to make is that all of this stuff that you're seeing is just distraction. And look, by no means am I a Barack Obama supporter. I'm not. I did vote for the guy twice. I fell for the Kool-Aid. I did. I'm not the only one that did, but I fell for it, right? And I have no affinity for Barack Obama, but I'm a guy that calls a spade, no pun intended. All of this stuff is just distraction to get you off the scent of Epstein. That's all this is. It just came out today that the Department of Justice instructed the FBI to flag any and all times that Donald Trump's name was mentioned in the still declassified Epstein documents. Now, I'm not a brain surgeon, but that sounds exactly like what led to Richard Nixon resigning from the presidency. That's obstruction of justice, because it came out on the smoking gun tapes that he had his guys, his H.R. Haldeman, message the FBI and basically tell them, stop investigating in these areas, these potentially productive areas, because it may lead to something that will be fruitful for your investigation and may harm the administration. That's obstruction of justice. And that's ultimately what led to Richard Nixon resigning. This is that times 1,000, 10,000, because all that was a break-in. We're talking about a guy tied to the most disgusting things you can think of. And because the media isn't on lockstep with him, he controlled him, and he threatened the Wall Street Journal to not go public with that letter, because that letter shows the far extent and the true extent of the friendship between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. And he don't want that out there. So he's trying to throw the scent away from him into something more palatable. And that is a nigga. I'm sorry to tell like this, but that's just the truth. This always happens. Whenever there's somebody of a different persuasion who's in trouble, they throw the scent to a nigga. Just like a couple of weeks ago, or was it a month ago, when it was going on, the beef between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. What happened? You started seeing them talk about those riots with the Latino people, right? They got thrown to that. Now, not to compare this to sports, but remember a couple of years ago, it might have been 2.5 years ago, going on 3 years ago, when all that information was coming out about Brett Favre and all the news media was focusing on that. And all of a sudden, it disappeared. It got scrubbed from the internet, right? My videos talking about Brett Favre and his ties to the TANF scandal, all of a sudden they were like removed. They weren't removed, but people couldn't really find them anymore. And then all of a sudden they find a new nigga boogeyman in a Mayadoka, right? And by the way, I'm gonna do a video about that too, because I find it very interesting how a Mayadoka was criminalized for having sex with a coworker who was a subordinate, right? But I'm not seeing nobody talking about this CEO who was seen squeezing the boobs of his subordinate at a Coldplay concert. I'm gonna talk about that on my Patreon. Nobody talking about that. Now all of a sudden people are supposed to respect that. What does that got to do with us? All these jigs running to that dude defense. Oh, that has nothing to do with you. That's their personal business. Yeah, it's always a white person's personal business, but a nigga business is everybody's business. Getting back to this piece of shit, Trump. Barack Obama lives rent free in this dude's head, man. He lives rent free in this guy's head. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of Barack Obama, but it's pathetic. He's always comparing himself to Barack Obama. You know what I'm saying? Crowd size. No, your crowd size pales in comparison to Barack Obama's crowd size, especially in 2009. Barack Obama won by larger margins than you. You know what I'm saying? The first victory was pretty much a landslide. He's more popular than you ever been. Donald Trump has never credibly been above 50% in polling throughout his 4.5 year presidency so far. Barack Obama, by his constituents at least, was beloved. Your constituents don't even really like you. They just like what you represent. And right now, you know what I'm saying? Every action that Trump is showing right now indicates guilt. Indicates guilt. And he's not really serious about suing Rupert Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal, because if it really went that far, he don't want certain things to be disclosed in a court of law. He's not really serious about it. He's bluffing. All people want is justice. All people want is if you're going to go around and have all of these people in government rolling tanks on music moguls' property and talking about how some people are and moralizing and you know what I'm saying, throwing people under the bus and judging people based upon their sexual perversions and their lifestyle and having all these fake pastors running around, you know what I'm saying, talking about this person is this and that. Wait a minute, man. We're not going to have a different set of rules for one group of people and other. We're not going to do that. No. You're not going to sit there and tell black men, and they're just keeping it 100, keeping it a buck. You're not going to sit there and tell black men we got to live a certain lifestyle that's godly, but these fucking miscreants get to do all types of disgusting things to the most innocent, the most pure in our world, in our society, in our culture, and that gets swept under the rug. Then you're telling me that we still live in a racist, segregated, and racist society where there's different sets of standards for people based upon race and religion and creed. Kiss my ass. Can't have both ways. Admit that this is a racist fucking country, or have the same expectations for everybody. I get it. Those who are wealthy are going to have certain advantages. But I'd be goddamn if we live in a world where the rich can do whatever the fuck they want to do to the powerless and get away with it. And not only that, have it buried so that we treat these pieces of shit like they're fucking idols. Fuck that. You're going to have Trump supporters come in here and deflect and say, oh, you're just supporting Barack Obama because he's black. Oh, you do. No, got nothing to do with that. If that was the case, I would have voted for Kamala because she had a certain skin color. You only going against Barack Obama because of the color of his skin. You only going with Trump because you're a program brainwashed jig. In some cases, at least. Or you're just a WS. But anyway, that's all I got to say about it.